One Piece chapter 943. Yo, that ending page, man. That ending page, man. Where you got Zoro and he's got the sword out. You got Sanji, he's got the flames around the foot. That's one of my favorite panels, dude. That is fucking hot. That is fucking hot. And then the way you got it where at the panel down below that, you got Zoro and Sanji. The rivalry is just renewed. That is so fucking awesome right there, man. That is so awesome. Like the way that they came in order to save Toko, that was a nice way to cap off a chapter that was honestly more heartbreaking than the last one. I knew Oda was setting something up for that last chapter, and sure enough, he's laying it on extra thick in this one, man. Like when I tell you Oda played the melodrama trap card heavy, Oda went right for the feels on this one. And honestly, I think that Oda made a really good decision to lay it on like this, because you're getting the opportunity to get more backstory, and you're getting an opportunity to get more of the actual world building for what's going on in this world of Wano. Just when you think that you've got everything, Oda just sprinkles a little bit more on top. And you guys have heard me talk about this in the past, how a really good writer doesn't just say that, oh, this is an oak table. Instead, the really good writer says that there's a table, I'm paraphrasing, but says there's a table in the corner, and then he starts describing the texture of the wood, whether or not there's chips, how smooth it is, whether or not there's small cracks, or whether there's splinters in the wood. And then he starts moving up to the fact that the wood might be painted blue or pink or green, whatever your fancy is. And then he gets the reveal that it's an oak table, and you get the history behind the table, like where it's gone from generation to generation, family, whatever. And so it's the same thing here. So, you know, the chapter opens up and you get yet another flashback, and you know, in this flashback, Oda has essentially finished the job of making Yasuie not only a tragic character, but also a relatable character, and giving you more layers to him. Because, you know, when you get the revelation, this guy's like, oh my God, this guy's supposed to be somebody super important. Get the fuck out of here. It was hard to believe it because he was always laughing and smiling. But when you get the revelation of the devil fruit, and then you get, or the smile fruit, and then you get the revelation in the flashback. So he was actually pretty articulate, very sharp, very proud. And I like how you just see that, and all of a sudden you see how that smile fruit, when Hiyori is talking and she's breaking down the fact that all the expressions are kind of wiped away, and basically your humanity's wiped away, because feeling pain and rage and sorrow, those are all fear. Those are all emotions that make you human. So when you take those away, essentially you're taking somebody's humanity away. And so I thought that that was actually a really, really good way to actually kind of show you the parallels there, because what Oda's doing is he's showing you what he was before, and then he's showing you what he is after fact. And most importantly, this is Oda showing you what happened when it comes to the smile fruit, on how it's actually able to change people. Because, you know, the lesser writer would sit there and say exactly what Hiyori did, which is, you know, the smile fruit robs you everything, and they just use the example of the people laughing and cackling and everything. The lesser writer would do that, and that would be just enough to actually whet your appetite and say, okay, that's a good example of showing. It's just good enough to where you can actually pass it. But the great writer will introduce something subtle in the way that Oda just did here, to where when you see the full-on flashback and you see the varying ranges of emotion out of Yasuie, and you see everything that's going on in terms of his character interactions like that, and the faith that he's putting into into Odin, that's very good. That's a very brilliant way of actually showing, because after you start taking away his various emotions, you get left with what you get left with. He's still a very strong-willed character. I think this death speech shows you that. And yet at the same time, in a time where he probably would have felt some anger or some sorrow perhaps, the fact is that he was still laughing and smiling. Like, that's what I love right there. That's what I love. Even when he's being selfless and knows that it's at the end, he's still smiling at that point. So I like how Oda just, again, the contrast is just enough to where it hits you like Kaido's doing some really sick shit on this island. And what I like here is that when Zoro gets the breakdown of it, right, you can see the pure rage on Zoro's face, because Zoro's like, wait a second, these smile fruits, they ain't just some artificial devil fruits. You mean to tell me that there's more here? So at this point, the way that Zoro is just completely enraged, Zoro, I feel like, went from this is just part of our plan to take down Kaido, to, oh shit, I just saw a little girl crying. Her father was killed in front of her. These people are suffering. And so now you're seeing Zoro snap into that bad motherfucker mode right there. And like, that's what I like right there. That bad motherfucker mode, that BMF mode. When Zoro gets into that mode, gotta look the fuck out. Like, between him and Luffy, they got a different monster in them when it comes to, like Sanji has his values, don't get me wrong. Sanji has his values, but Luffy and Zoro is a different level. They're still a hell of a trio. They're a monster trio for a reason, in my opinion. But, you know, those two, Luffy and Zoro, like when they see shit like this going on the various islands, once you see them hit that point of where they snap, that's it. Like when they're on Punk Hazard, you know, Zoro had a different level of rage. Zoro still had his mind on the fact that, like, hey, we made this plan to take down Kaido and Doflamingo. Don't you get sidetracked. You know, Zoro, it was a little bit different. It was a little bit different on Punk Hazard, but now that he's actually spent time there and seen everything, you can tell this is the expression of a man that has seen some shit. And I love that about Zoro right there. You know, this is one of those times where Oda's giving you just enough to where you don't know everything that Zoro did in the meantime when he was supposed to be on the cover. But the fact is the fact that he's reacting this way means that he's formed some connections along the way. And I like how even when Otoko is going out there and Komurasaki's just begging and screaming for her to get out of there before Orochi figures out who she is, you get this moment where all the other Straw Hats are learning the truth about what's going on with the smile fruit. And, you know, we find out that, you know, basically it's broken down into the waiters, the people that are waiting to get the smile fruit, and the people that are the gifters, who are the people who've been given the animal strength. And then you have the pleasures, who are basically everybody that was in that 1 in 10 category that essentially, or in that 9 out of 10 category that essentially fell victim to the side effects of the smile fruit. But the fact is that this is one of those times where you just see the reactions and how much damage is done to so many people in this land. And then you see when Kaido says, that snake Orochi, he sure is cruel-hearted. That was a double meaning right there, because that was also Kaido being in full awareness of the fact that all those people in the leftover town were given those devil fruits, those smile fruits, and essentially they can't swim, so they can't leave the island, nor are they going to be able to do it anyway, but they can't leave the island even if they wanted to. And then they don't have any emotion now. The only emotion they have now is actually smiling. And you see the flashbacks, and it's so heartbreaking. They're like, hey, make sure you get some to the elderly, make sure you get some to the sick, make sure you get some to the disabled. Like, they're doing all the things that you want good people to do. And again, maybe I'm cynical, but, you know, when it comes to people out the goodness of their heart, sometimes I think that it's a mutually beneficial thing. But I think in this instance, that was just a pure-hearted moment meant to show you that you have people that take kindness and good intentions for granted, and or not for granted, but they take advantage of them. And so I thought that was cool, and I like the panel where you have Doflamingo and Kaido and Caesar, and you just see all their different expressions. That's some very good artwork right there. I gotta give Oda that shit. But what I gotta say, man, is that, you know, I like how Oda, if he's marching towards a battle, he's used the death of Yasuie to not only rile up the people that need to be riled up on his side, but he's also got the Straw Hats even more invested in their plan to bring down Kaido. And then all while this is going on, he's actually sowed a little dissent into the ranks of Orochi's men, because they realize how much of a coward he is. So this is good. You know, even Kinemon makes light of the fact that, like, hey, you know, or mentions the fact that, hey, you know, we're in a situation where we gotta say thank you to this guy, because basically, like I said in the last chapter, you know, it takes a it takes a very intelligent person to troll efficiently. And so through all that shit talking at the end, he was able to disguise the fact that he was sending that hidden message to Kinemon. And, you know, I think that once this plan works, or if there's a pretty relatively high success rate on this plan where most of their objectives are accomplished, essentially Kinemon is going to be regarded as a brilliant military strategist, because this was pretty damn brilliant right here. Between him and Law, it's going to be very close, man. So my chapter question to you guys, we're going to keep this one pretty damn simple, man. So on a scale from 1 to 10, where does this rank in terms of the most despicable things that have been done on an island in One Piece? What are your top 3? I guess that's the best way to put it. What are your top 3 in terms of islands that have been just ravished and fucked up by people that have inhabited them? Like, you know, say like what Doflamingo did or Caesar did or Crocodile all the way back in Alabasta. Let me know what are your top 3 down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.